the spring train. Maria pulled her scarf tightly around her neck, sitting quietly in the corner of a lower-level carriage on the double-decker train. She chose the lower level, where it was less crowded, to observe more easily. Her eyes followed the stream of people boarding and disembarking at each station, a peculiar mix of hustle and calm filling the air. Trains in Sydney usually had 8 carriages, each designed to carry hundreds of passengers daily. The commuters came from all walks of life, representing a variety of countries and cultures. Their different hair colors, skin tones, and accents painted a picture of Australia's cultural diversity. Students, office workers, and elderly passengers all shared the same bustling rhythm of life. Maria felt the slight chill of a spring morning in Sydney as the train began its journey, gliding through peaceful neighborhoods. Through the window, the scenery unfolded like a living painting. Soft sunlight bathed the blooming mimosa trees, their delicate yellow petals swirling gently in the breeze like golden snowflakes. Sydney's abundance of trees along its streets made the air fresh and pleasant. Towering old trees stood beside red brick houses and weathered wooden homes, with peeling paint, creating a stark contrast to the towering modern skyscrapers in the city's commercial centers, gleaming under the sun. Maria gazed outside with a mixture of wonder and fascination. The beautiful scenery stirred memories of her homeland. In Venezuela, rickety buses squeezed through dusty, narrow roads. Yet, despite its poverty, her home always carried a sense of warmth, with red-tiled roofs and modest apartment buildings. The train passed through diverse neighborhoods, leaving behind a tapestry of ever-changing sights. At every stop, Maria noticed the prevalence of apartment buildings in Sydney. Many were old and modest, just 3 stories high, lacking elevators, reminiscent of the communal housing in Venezuela, yet Sydney was evolving. Near these older buildings, sleek, multi-storied high-rises stood tall, their glass facades gleaming in the sun. Australia truly is a different world, Maria thought to herself. Here, immigrants from all over the globe came searching for a new life, just like she had. She felt an unspoken connection with them, people who left their homelands, chasing dreams of a brighter future. Through the train window, Maria saw streets lined with various shops, from small convenience stores to bustling restaurants. Occasionally, there were service offices or expansive parking lots filled with cars, neatly arranged like a mosaic. In Sydney, cars were almost the default mode of transport. On the busy roads, cars flowed in an unending stream, and parking spaces on both sides of the streets were often full. Yet Maria knew that taking trains or buses wasn't just for the poor. Many wealthy people chose public transportation for its convenience, avoiding long drives, the hassle of finding parking, or the expensive fees in major financial hubs like Central. Station after station, the train stopped and started, carrying untold stories with it. Maria observed an intriguing dynamic. Despite the train's growing crowd, no one talked. Everyone seemed lost in their own world. Some stared intently at their phones, others worked on laptops, while a few simply listened to music through headphones, occasionally glancing out the window at the passing scenery. The train grew more crowded with each station. Passengers boarded with hurried steps, mostly students, office workers, and locals commuting to work. The atmosphere became cramped, and many had to stand, gripping the overhead handrails tightly. A few read newspapers, but most were absorbed in their phones, scrolling through news or social media. Some worked on laptops, headphones in, listening to music or podcasts. Despite the bustling crowd, there was a unique quietness, broken only by the rhythmic clatter of the train and the steady announcements of the next stations. Maria sat in her corner, clutching her backpack. Her eyes scanned the faces around her, wondering about their thoughts and destinations. Sydney, a city she had only known through stories and photographs, now revealed itself in all its vibrant complexity. This city, often described as an easy place to live, offered students like her the chance to find work and dream of permanent residency if they met the requirements. Maria had left Venezuela, where her family had struggled to make ends meet, to chase a dream of transformation. As the train passed through an industrial area, Maria noticed vast parking lots filled with containers and old warehouse buildings. Nearby were tiny homes with corrugated iron roofs and weathered wooden walls. They felt like a fragment of Venezuela, a land of small villages where people lived modestly yet shared abundant love. Maria missed the smell of fresh coffee in the mornings, the sound of her siblings' laughter, and the lively chatter of the local market, where neighbors traded goods with warm smiles. The train glided past a large park, where Maria spotted green lawns, families playing with children, and dogs bounding joyfully. The scene brought a smile to her face, a glimmer of hope amidst her worries. She thought of her parents, who had worked tirelessly to send her here to study. Each day, Maria reminded herself that their sacrifices were the reason she couldn't give up. Though Sydney was bustling, the train's quiet energy felt like a place of solace despite the crowded space. The train passed through elevated tracks, where the rail line stood high above the streets below. Looking down, Maria saw cars moving like tiny ants along the roads. She marveled at humanity's ability to construct such complex systems, towering railways, bridges connecting distant areas, and tunnels deep beneath the earth. Maria had heard of Sydney's modernity, but seeing it firsthand filled her with awe. As the train neared Central Station, it entered a long, dark tunnel. The only illumination came from rows of neon lights lining the tunnel walls, casting a serene yet eerie glow. Emerging from the darkness, the bright morning sunlight poured in through the windows. The train slowed, signaling its approach to the station. The atmosphere shifted as passengers stood up, preparing to disembark in a flurry of movement to begin their day. Central Station buzzed like a giant beehive. Streams of people boarded and exited trains, their footsteps blending with the loudspeaker announcements. Maria slung her backpack over her shoulder, weaving through the crowd as she stepped outside. The gentle warmth of the morning sun kissed her face. A small yellow mimosa petal drifted through the air, landing softly on her shoulder before falling to the ground. Maria paused, gazing at it as if to capture the fleeting moment. Sydney, with its juxtaposition of wealth and poverty, tradition and modernity, had begun teaching her the value of perseverance and faith. She took a deep breath, savoring the fresh air. On the long road ahead, Maria knew challenges awaited her, but so did opportunities. No matter where she went, Venezuela would always remain her home, the source of her dreams and resilience. Maria joined the flow of people, her backpack snug against her shoulder, her eyes shining with determination. Her journey was far from over, but Sydney had already begun showing her how to embrace its contradictions. Wealth and simplicity, old and new, quiet and hurried. And no matter what, she knew every step she took was for a better future, for herself and her family back in Venezuela. Vocabulary words and definitions, and examples from the story The Spring Train. 1. Carriage. A section of a train designated for passengers. Example, Maria chose a quiet carriage on the train to observe the scenery. 2. Diversity. A range of different cultures, people, or things. Example, the train was filled with people from all walks of life, showcasing Sydney's diversity. 3. Tapestry. A complex and rich combination of different elements. Example, the neighborhoods Maria passed formed a tapestry of old and new. 4. Evolving, gradually changing or developing over time. Example, Maria noticed how Sydney was constantly evolving with modern high-rises. 5. Modesty. The quality of being simple and unassuming. Example, the modest apartment buildings reminded Maria of her home in Venezuela. 6. Resilience. The ability to recover quickly from difficulties or challenges. Example, Maria's resilience kept her focused on her goals despite homesickness. 7. Gleaming. Shining brightly, often with a clean or polished surface. Example, the glass facades of the skyscrapers were gleaming in the morning sun. 8. Solace. Comfort or relief in a time of distress or sadness. Example, the quiet train ride offered Maria a moment of solace. 9. Awe. A feeling of amazement and respect, often mixed with a sense of wonder. Example, Maria looked at Sydney's towering railways with awe. 10. Determination. A strong resolve to achieve a goal. Example, Maria's determination to succeed was fueled by her parents' sacrifice. Phrases. With definitions and examples from the story, The Spring Train. 1. Pulled her scarf tightly. Adjusted or held onto a scarf firmly for comfort or warmth. Example, Maria pulled her scarf tightly as the spring morning brought a slight chill. 2. Stream of people. A continuous flow of individuals moving together. Example, the train station was alive with a stream of people boarding and disembarking. 3. Painted a picture. Created a vivid image or scene through description. Example, the passengers' diversity painted a picture of Australia's multiculturalism. 4. Glided through, moved smoothly and effortlessly through a space. Example, The train glided through peaceful neighborhoods lined with mimosa trees. 5. Stood tall, to rise high with pride or prominence. Example, the sleek skyscrapers stood tall among the older red brick houses. 6. Blended into, merged seamlessly with the surrounding elements. Example, the old buildings blended into the modern cityscape, creating a unique charm. 7. Captured the moment, took note of or fully appreciated a brief, significant event. Example, Maria paused to capture the moment when a mimosa petal landed on her shoulder. 8. Felt like a fragment of a small part of something familiar. Example, the tiny homes by the industrial area felt like a fragment of Venezuela. 9. Lost in their own world, deeply engrossed in one's thoughts or activities. Example, despite the crowd, the passengers seemed lost in their own world. 10. Chasing dreams or chasing ambitions or goals with determination. Example, like many immigrants, Maria was chasing dreams of a brighter future.